everyone. Welcome to the July 14th, 2025 Town of Goffstown Select Board meeting. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, acceptance and correction of the minutes.
I'll make a motion, we accept the 6/30/2025 public minutes, meeting with corrections if need be.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Joshua. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the motion carries. I have one announcement. This is a traffic alert, road work on Center Street in Goffstown. Goffstown, please expect delays on Center Street at the intersection of Tibbetts Hill Road starting July 15th through Friday, July 18th. Crews will be making repairs to the drainage system in this area. Please use caution. Center Street will be down to one lane alternating traffic. Significant delays should be expected in the work zone due to the ongoing construction. DPW highly recommends using alternate Route 114 until the work is completed. Please contact Goffstown DPW at area code 603-497-3617 with any questions. Thank you for your patience. Is there anyone here for public comment? Seeing none, we have an appointment tonight with the New Hampshire Sons of the American Revolution, and it's a presentation of a certificate. Gentlemen? At tab 4.
Present this. On June 8th, we held a grave marking ceremony to mark 6 patriots who had served in the Bunker Hill battle. And this is these were delayed, but this is a sample of the marker that will be presented. We have all those markers now. They'll be delivered to the PDW and for installation, and we'll take the temporary bronze markers away. And I don't know, Valerie, if you want this one or to take it tonight, or I can take it with you. So I wanted to bring that to show people what we had done. So part of the mission of the Sons of the American Revolution is to honor our patriot ancestors. The members of the Sons of the American Revolution, everyone can trace back their ancestry to one or more patriots who fought in the Revolutionary War. And we honor our patriots by promoting patriotism and educating and inspiring younger generations.
Just want to make sure.
Okay, yeah, younger generations on the founding principles of our country, and I can't think of a better way to do that than by doing the grave markings that we do, promoting the public awareness of the valuable information that's out there in the cemetery. And if any of you were there, had a number of scouts and youth organizations involved to inspire young people to understand what the founding principles of that. So because of the success of that, we wanted to present a certificate to the citizens of Goffstown or the Goffstown Select Board. This is a certificate of appreciation for assisting the New Hampshire Sons of the American Revolution, commemorating the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Bunker Hill, with formal marking of the graves of patriots who were there and now lie in rest at Hillside Cemetery. Peter, you want to?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was lucky enough to participate.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You gotta get a good focus, would you?
Oh, let's go. Let's do this again.
Yeah.
I don't have one of them,
Fancy cameras?
oh, this is a good camera, it's just, thank you. Thank you.
Got it. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we'd also like to present a certificate to the cemetery trustees. And Valerie, you're here to represent them. Valerie was deeply involved with the planning of the entire ceremony. Plus the cemetery trustees did a lot of work out there cleaning headstones and providing the flags and just making the whole thing a great success. So
Thanks, Curtis.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen,
you.
for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you for the stones. It'll be great over there.
Yeah, they'll look.
Yeah, they look, it looks very nice.
We have an opportunity to, and I'll be back before the board. There's a desire to mark the rest of the Patriots over there. These run about $135 a pop, and you start getting 50 of them out there, it gets expensive. But we do have access and partnership to the Pomeroy Foundation, and they'll create a sign that looks much like the state historical markers that can be placed there. And there's a QR code on them, people read about it, and they can scan the QR code, which will list all the Patriots there, the location, and a brief history on
That
it.
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
we
Yeah.
might, pursue with something like
Anything we
that.
could,
And it's
anything we
free.
could do to get that, to help you out with that, let us know.
Okay, will do.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you very much.
And we have an appointment with the Goffstown Main Street, reference proposed art projects.
The information for this one's at tab 5.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us again. I was wondering, have you been able to review, there was like a little 3-page packet that I sent last week, been able to review it? Great, awesome. So we'll essentially go over questions on that. I want to break this down into 2 sections because we are talking about 2 different projects right now. We have our electrical box, utility box project, right, I think like 4 Main Street is the address, right by the barber shop, flanking the sidewalk. We have come together as the Goffstown Main Street program based off of surveys we've previously done for other projects and come up with 2 designs. We are here to seek the select board's approval for this content so we can move forward and prepare to start painting the electrical boxes at the upcoming Uncommon Art on the Common event. We'd like this to be a community painting event where the community helps us paint the first layer, the underpainting of the mural. So please review the content. I can go over what's in it with you and let me know if that's approved.
My question was, I was looking through this, who's gonna maintain this, like, when somebody comes through and tags it? Because that's probably what's gonna happen.
Tags
right?
it. Yeah, absolutely. We would volunteer to maintain it, given the materials that I do have chosen. I do have a few-step process I can detail with you right now. It didn't end up in the packet, but I do have it in front of me right here. But I do have just painted Selvit without vandalism. I'm expecting 5 to 10 years, because we do want to put a marine varnish on this. But with, obviously, vandalism, typically that would be, of course, like the town would deal with that. But Goffstown Main Street program, our headquarters is right there. We would absolutely handle that. It should just be touch-up paint, which we will keep at our headquarters right there.
So just to be clear, you're gonna take care of maintaining them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I expect if there were any sort of complaint about any sort of, say negligence towards it, or say something happened to it, Goffstown Main Street program will be the first point of contact to help maintain it and fix it.
Okay.
So yeah, we have that, and so I don't know how you want to go through it with your process, because we do have the second approval, so I don't know if you want to go through like.
Does anybody have any questions on that, or Jim?
So, you just asked permission for these 2 boxes right now?
Yep, and the process and the, we will begin painting right before the Uncommon Art on the Common event, which is 2 weeks from this weekend, August 2nd to 3rd. We will have priming and painting done a couple days before then, and I can go over that process. I am prepared with your approval to go over that process with the DPW, if you would like.
Just a second, what's DPW
Or how,
involvement?
I guess if you need me to go through with anyone, if there's anyone in the town that approves any sort of painting process like this, I am happy to share my process and my materials chosen.
I don't think on this, when we're talking about these two boxes, I don't think there's any reason to get anybody else involved. It's
Okay.
gonna be us and you, and
Great.
and if the board decides to go, oh, Rick, you got something pop up.
When you talk about tagging, they make a clear coat that you can paint over products, so that when somebody does tag it, it basically dissipates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank
I don't know
you.
if you ever looked into that.
Yeah, there's mural varnish. I've seen mixed reviews of mural varnish versus using marine varnish, but I will look at the tagging. I was just looking at like UV, because I noticed we don't have much vandalism in town, at least like from what I've seen. Maybe you guys do a great job at cleaning it up. But I was more worried about maybe UV exposure, but I will look into vandalism prevention for those
So
materials.
let's talk about this. Anybody got any questions on this two boxes?
It's both designs, correct?
Yep, both designs, electrical box 1 and 2, and then I kind of showed you which one's which on the second page.
Peter, just the one comment, I didn't mention that you had problems with maybe gun companies or whatever. There is one component where I do see a picture of somebody shooting an animal. I just want to make sure you're okay with that.
I did want to make
Electrical box 1.
Yeah, I'm looking at electrical box one. Oh, yeah, I see what you're talking about, shooting the deer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with it, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I don't
the
think
statement
there's-
you
yeah, I
said
don't have a
before.
problem with it. If somebody has a problem with it, we'll take it up with me.
Yeah, and I guess we can also have this will be like a preliminarily painted. It'll be probably like a week process until it's finally painted and sealed. So I guess there will be a big public feedback opportunity when people come and do this. So if there's anything comes up,
Great.
we'll bring it up with you.
You want to make the motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the painting and maintenance by the Goffstown Main Street program of the two electrical boxes closest to their office.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, we have one more input. Adam, did you want to come down and put some input into this? Adam is a DPW director.
Just, I don't want to throw cold water on anything, but we had, the department heads had weighed in on a couple of the ideas from the Main Street folks back in May, and I didn't see those in the packet, so I just want to make sure you had gotten that info. For the cabinets, a lot of municipalities are starting to develop policies for this type of thing. Certainly when there's, communities that have like 20, 30, 50 cabinets, it's a bigger deal. For us, we don't have that many, but the recommendation now has been to shift to a vinyl wrap. So you can take any design you want, but have a graphics company create a vinyl wrap that way. As the concerns about maintenance and how long the product will last or UV damage or tagging. If there is a question 5, 6, 10 years down the road, you can remove that wrap and either rewrap it with that same design or a different design or rotate it through every so often. It also, not as big a deal for the green cabinets, but for the stainless cabinets, painting can also bring additional heat into the cabinet, which affects the components inside, so something to think about anyway. If you did want to create a program of this or allow others, or if we foresee there more being implemented with the other cabinets, it might be something to look at. But that was my recommendation, would be take that same design and put it into a wrap and then.
But we shouldn't have to worry about heat right now, correct? Because it is already green, which means it's already getting quite a bit of radiant heat off the UV.
Correct. On that one, right. The bigger concern is just what is that mural or what does that artwork look like in 5 years worth of sidewalk salt or whatever it's gonna look, how it's gonna hold up and to Peter's question, I guess, who's gonna maintain that or retouch or how often, that kind of stuff. So that was the best practice currently is to do a vinyl versus the paint. So that's my input for it.
Something, maybe be something if what they put forth doesn't hold up, they could always go back and do that with the wrap, right?
I would presume. I don't know if you'd have to.
May have to sand it down some.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you
Yes,
could, can I just say maybe that we approve it with either paint or wrap? You may want to look at to see what it's like, the cost is to wrap it. It may not be
Well, that increases the cost significantly.
We did, yeah, we did speak about this at last month's meeting, and based off of our research, the wrap isn't really a practical option, for us. Even redoing any sort of like fix, if there was any sort of tagging, vandalism, that kind of stuff, it is easier to touch up paint, much easier than to pull off a heat wrapped vinyl and to put it back on. Vinyl wrapping a 3D form like that is also exorbitant. We're talking about, currently our project's just a couple $100, not even a couple hundred, probably $100 worth of paint and volunteer time, whereas a vinyl wrap would require us to have a professional contractor come out, which is just unfeasible.
I'll tell you an
for a
estimate of
nonprofit.
how much it would be. It'd be about $1,500 to $3,000.
Mhm.
It's a big difference in cost.
All right, so we'll go with the paint right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Once the motion is on the floor, any other questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, I
Thanks,
appreciate
Al,
it.
thanks for your input.
Awesome. So we have project number 2, which we just wanted to provide clarity on light pole banners that we proposed last week. This again is a kind of collaborative expressive project that we wanted to propose for the town, managed by Main Street Program. And for you, I have a schedule of how we can work together to approve content for those light poles, as well as a preliminary 5-year schedule for content. So I guess we are scaling down the project to the 2 light posts in the Rotary Park, given kind of how high traffic area and a lot of people spend time there. And this is a community-based project. And we want to have 2 rounds a year, so flags will be up about 4 months at a time, twice a year. There will be no banners up during the winter. And we will do an approval with the select board. We will put out a public call for art through the Main Street Program. We'll then narrow down a handful or so of 10 finalists that will then be selected by you. Each round, we will have 2 to 4 artworks chosen to be displayed. So today, we are looking for approval of this process so that we can go forth and begin a more finalized process to start our 2026 spring round of banners to put up. So if you'd like to take a look at the project, I can also pass around. I noticed I didn't put photos of what we proposed last time. If you'd like a refresher, I can share.
The problem with that one is what happens if the bridge ever gets, that they're going forth right now, the pedestrian bridge, would that interfere with the posts that are there?
Absolutely, I understand that question. I would say if they had to do any sort of construction on the park, they are removable. I proposed the hardware last time and they were kind of like a removable hardware. You already use similar hardware, I believe, on the bridge posts right now. If you wanted to take a look, they can be removed and brought to the common, or we could retire the project,
Okay,
however.
we're talking about 2 of them at Rotary Park.
Just to
We're not talking about the common.
Yes.
Because I don't want it, Rotary Park is a small area. I could see dedicating that to them, but I don't want to say, okay, we're going to dedicate, okay, those work there, you can go to the common, and you're going to
Yeah.
dedicate those to you.
Oh, we can propose it.
I had a
if
problem
the
with that
needed.
before, is giving carte blanche to one organization controlling all of our poles. So, I mean, I'm okay with Rotary Park. I mean, I think that's a fair deal.
That's why we narrowed it down. to
No, I think
that
that's
area.
fine. You know,
See how-
I just didn't want to commit every pole in town to
Right.
one
Understandable.
organization, so.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Any other questions?
Any questions? Jim?
How many poles do you think, would
There's
be
2
there?
poles at
Two?
Rotary Park.
There'll just be 2, okay.
Yeah.
And we pick?
Yeah,
we pick
yeah.
Out of 10, you're gonna bring us 10?
We'll do a big public call for art, and if you wanted to look at kind of our proposed content calendar in there, we'll run it and we'll work with, we can work with economic development or any other organizations to make sure the call for art gets out there. And then we'll select maybe like 10, 20 or so, whatever feels like a reasonable amount to then share with you to select. Depends on how many, we don't want to overwhelm.
How many times a
the
year are you
hundred.
going to rotate that?
Twice.
Twice.
And how long will they stay up, half a year?
They'll stay up for about 4 months out of the year. I don't expect to keep them up during the winter.
Motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Goffstown Main Street program to create a process which will allow us to select the art for 2 times a year at Rotary Park.
Second.
And that's for 2 polls? Yes.
Yep.
Motion by Joshua, seconded by Mark. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Appreciate it. Have a nice day.
I am going to call up Parks and Rec, Public Works Director.
Tab 7?
Tab 7. We have public hearings at 6:30, so it's got 10 minutes before that starts.
Hello. Again. All right, so I've got the results from our latest surplus equipment auction that was conducted on Municipid. We closed auction. It was posted for just over 2 weeks, and it closed last Thursday. In your packet memo, we've got the vehicles and titled equipment that needs board vote to transfer. In addition to this, we had a compactor that's non-titled that the finance director can transfer to the winning bidder for that. So, don't know how much info you need for the meeting minutes or if the memo's enough here, Danielle, but we've got 5 items, 3 police interceptor vehicles and 2 equipment trailers. Bids ranging anywhere from $1,700 for one of the trailers to $8,600 for the newer of the police interceptors. So if you accept these bids, that would total $19,000 in revenue to the general fund.
And the 3 cruisers are just replacement, those we replaced, those are
That's
3
right.
in, 3 out.
They've cycled in 3 in,
Right.
3 out. The 2020, it does seem a little new. We aren't going to go out on a limb and call it a COVID car, but we had a handful of warranty repairs while we've owned it that highlighted the fact that the build quality might not be that great, so we've jumped over a couple others to get that one out the door.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend awarding the vehicles to the highest bidders and authorizing the chair or vice chair to sign the title transfer paperwork.
Second.
Motion by Joshua, seconded by Mark. Any further discussion or questions? Jim?
I'm just curious, I've never been in one of these auctions, but do you get to pick what is there a base number that you start at?
So for these, it's 100% virtual on municibid.com. We can set an initial bid price. I usually set them at $100 each just because it gets a couple of bids in, and usually they're, since we've been using Municipid, the bids have been well over that. Previously, when we would advertise in the Union Leader and just do hey, submit bids by date X in the mail, we would see some of these vehicles like $300, $400, some of the old Crown Vics. Usually it was taxi cab companies were buying them, but we've had significant increase in revenue. I think Danielle recommended it years ago, and it's worked out well since we've started doing it. So, to answer your question, I set it very low, and then they almost instantaneously jump right above that.
Can you set a floor price too, kind of like on eBay?
We could, if that's something the board wants to
Do we ever do that?
I haven't, just because it's, generally they've been higher than
But
we
your floor
expected,
price
but-
is probably gonna be 1,000 or 1,500 anyway,
We do, the way Municipid is set up, because they know a lot of communities are, well, it's basically all communities or colleges. All of the terms on their site, as well as the terms that we use, indicate that at any time the town can decide not to sell it, even after the auction's closed. So we're kind of protected there if we weren't happy with the revenue that we get.
Okay.
I should mention one more thing. We did have one more interceptor ready for auction, but we want to make sure we have our hands on the original title. We have copies of the title, but Zach's trying to locate the original. I think we're going to have to get a reissued title for that one. It was a transfer from PD to DPW at one point, so if we get that in hand, we might do one small auction with just that one vehicle. You've already given permission to put that on, so if we can find it soon or get the replacement title, we'll probably do one more auction this fall.
So we had a motion by Josh. Who seconded it? Mark? Mark, did any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Danielle, did you want to start? You got 5 minutes.
Okay, so at tab 8A, we have your meeting schedule for this week and next week. Wednesday evening at 6:30 PM, the Library Board of Trustees are meeting at the library. Okay, we have 7 PM, the Parks and Rec Commission at the Parks and Recreation Building. And Thursday at 7 PM, we have the CIP meeting here in this room.
Who's doing CIP?
Who's our CIP rep?
I think it's me. I'd have to look at my schedule.
Okay.
And then the following
Next
week?
week, we have the Sewer Commission meeting here in this room on Tuesday evening at 6 PM.
I got it.
The Historic District Commission is meeting Wednesday at Grassmere at 6:30.
Yep.
And Conservation Commission will be here at 7 PM on Wednesday.
You
106.
sure they can't? I thought they canceled this meeting this month.
It hasn't been removed yet, but I can double check
Okay,
with
yeah.
planning.
Okay,
And then Thursday evening, 6 PM, there's a planning board meeting here in this room. On your next page, we have the consent agenda today. Pretty short list, a few employee status reports, a full-time firefighter, adding the AEMT certification and a pay adjustment per the CBA, a police part-time officer that we're converting to a contractor role, and a Parks and Recreation lifeguard, new hire, appointment of 2 full-time patrol officers that needs the signature of the entire board, and 1 event permit for Mountain Base Brewery Car Show that is scheduled for Saturday, July 26th, from 5 PM to 9 PM at 553 Mass Road. It'll be behind the brewery.
Make a motion to approve the consent agreement. Agenda as presented.
Second.
motion by Josh, seconded by Jim. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do, we'll start with, I'll read the public hearing until we get started with those.
So that's at tab 6A, the
Yep.
first one.
Pursuant to RSA 41:14-B, the Goffstown Select Board is holding this public hearing to accept public input on the proposed adoption of new ordinance limiting parking at Barnard Park and Parks and Recreation lots during school hours, Monday, Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is the first of 2 public hearings. The second public hearing is scheduled for Monday, July 28th at 6:30 p.m. A vote is scheduled for Monday, August 11th. Copies are available for residents in attendance and on Town Hall website. Is there anybody here to discuss, like to open the public hearing? Is there anybody here that would like to put input into this? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on that one. Pursuant to RSA 41:14-B, the Goffstown Select Board is holding this public hearing to accept input on the proposed adoption of a new ordinance adding a stop sign at the intersection of Rockland Ave and St. Anselm's Drive. This is the first of 2 public hearings. The second public hearing is scheduled for Monday, July 28th at 6:30 p.m. A vote is scheduled for Monday, August 11th. Copies are available for residents in attendance and at town's website. I'll open the public hearing on this one. Is there anybody here to input on this one? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and move on. Pursuant to RSA 41:14-B, the Goffstown Select Board is holding this public hearing to accept public input on the proposed adoption of a new ordinance reducing the speed limit to 25 miles an hour on Hinsdale Drive. This is the first of 2 public hearings. The second public hearing is scheduled for Monday, July 28th at 6:30 p.m. A vote is scheduled for Monday, August 11th. Copies are available for residents in attendance and on the town's website. Is there anybody here to this public put input onto this one? Seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. And that concludes our public hearing, all right? let's continue with Danielle. And I think we're on
Page
assessors
19.
recommendation.
Yes, the assessor's recommendation. There is one recommendation from the assessor for an elderly exemption according to RSA 72:39-B for map 6, lot 17-B-153. And the assessor is recommending approval. This is the one that the board had weighed in on to allow due to a special exception for the delayed timeline for the submission.
Right.
Motion to approve the assessor's recommendation as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Josh. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
At tab 8D, we have an off-cycle LVDP waterline betterment warrant from the tax collector for 2 lots, map 21 lot 61 and map 21 lot 62. And these are just paying off the remaining balances on those 2 accounts.
Make a motion to approve the off-cycle betterment assessment warrants for the Lynchville Daniels Park Drinking Water Project in the amount of $2,666.95.
Second.
Motion by Jim, seconded by Josh. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
On the next page, we have a request for volunteer appointment for the Historic District Commission. The commission met on May 28th, and they are making a recommendation to reappoint Michael Priscaza as a regular member
Kaza.
for a 3-year term expiring March 31st, 2028.
I make a motion to reappoint Michael Prakaza as a regular member of the Goffstown Historical District Commission to a 3-year term expiring March 31st, 2028.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. The only question I have is this was done, they made it on 5/28. Here we are getting it on 7/14. I mean, do we know what happened there, or?
I believe it was just during a transition, Catherine came forward saying that she found the paperwork with the recommendation. I don't know if it was,
And we canceled one meeting.
yeah, there's a canceled
Well, I
meeting.
saw the better, there was, on 5/28, we didn't cancel any meetings, so, all right. So the motion was on the floor, did we vote on that yet? Not yet. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Go for it.
That's all I have for you this evening. The other 2 items in your packet are related to the new business items.
Okay.
Tab 9I and
Yeah.
I.
Okay, let's go into new business and let's talk about the quarterly budget report. Is there anything, Danielle, that stands out that we need to be careful on, or?
Well, you do have pretty extensive narratives from all the department heads. Some of the ones that are high on our watch list are the legal invoices. As you know, there's been several different items that have incurred legal expenses. However, we are anticipating that those will be offset by other savings and other lines. We're closely monitoring our revenue across all of the lines. As you know, a lot of our revenues come in the fall. So we'll keep an eye on that when we do our review of the revenues before the tax rate setting. The other lines I don't think are really a surprise. We do have a few lines that are under and over, and those are called out in here to keep them on everybody's radar. The CIP project for the replacement ballot counting devices, we will be coming forward with a decision this fall. So we're waiting for coordinating some demonstrations of the 2 approved machines. And then each department went through and provided a similar narrative. So PD is tracking right on point at this time. They had a little bit of their savings in wages, but they have conditional offers out for every position now, and they anticipate that will remain in line. The fire department, as you know, there is the pump failure on the tower truck that we are closely monitoring. That initial estimate came in at around $45,000, so we're waiting to hear from the insurance company if there's any coverage. And of course, that PFAS study that we had discussed as well, we're waiting for feedback from DES. So those are a couple unknowns for possible fire expenses. The overtime is running high right now, and the chief has his explanation in there between vacancies and vacation season.
The thing about the PFAs, it could be about $40,000 expense.
Mhm.
Insurance is not gonna cover that, so they,
Correct.
is that gonna be a problem?
Right now, we're trying to see if there's any legal requirement for us to proceed.
Right. But
So
if it comes back saying.
if
you
it
can't
does
do
come back, we will have to bring it back to this board for discussion and consideration.
Danielle, was the fire chief the only one that like said exactly where he is in his budget overall? Like, I see he says he's at 46.6%. I don't see anywhere in the other ones where they state how far they are in on their budget.
I don't know if anybody gave the overall, because there's a lot of different lines that hit at different points of the year, but the attached budget report, which is in your packet, gives a subtotal at the bottom of each department that gives that percentage used across all lines as an average. So, as an example, I just opened the first one here. Page 45 has the library, so you see all of the breakdown in expenses and individual percentage used on each line. And then overall, it tells you that they're at 41.7%.
The problem with that, looking at, it's kind of like DPW is probably the worst one because they just can't get their bills in fast enough. You won't know. This is the end of June bill, but have we gotten all the Continental bills in from June? No.
Yeah, not yet. And Adam does go through and he gave the longest narrative for DPW because there are so many things that either come in a later cycle or they don't occur till later in the year. So he called those out and, you know, items like the salt, you know, we may look like we're low because we haven't purchased any, but that might be a purchase that occurs once in the year or closer to that season. So the narratives that each department provided in their 6-page memo, I think is very informative to those kind of nuances in each department's budget.
So can I ask?
Go ahead.
Just, I'm not sure I understand, but I was looking at these this afternoon and I think, and I may, and this, my question is page 14 of the charts on the back that you have there. It's like, I guess that the top one, Public Works Highway, they're at 61% of their budget used now. So that was probably the highest that I think that I saw. And then that could be the way the billing cycle goes too, I don't know, but I think that's the only one that was
Yeah, but I don't.
under or at 50.
Keep in mind that the percent used is also taking into consideration the encumbrance column, which you see, so items that we have encumbered under a PO count as spent and incurred. And then if for whatever reason that PO is not fully expended, what gets liquidated would go back into that budget line for additional use, unless it's a prior year PO, in which case it would close out to fund balance.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's assuming that that money is not spent. Like right now, if none of the rest of the PO money is spent on that, and it was all in this year, 600,000 would go back. Is that
Right.
what you're saying?
Right,
Okay.
yep.
So to Jim's point though, I mean, you're at 61%. Are there any items that we should expect ahead of time, or we're assuming we're gonna spend all 600,000 of that? And are there additional items coming relative to that line item?
So the largest one that you see there, just taking that one as an example, is the resurfacing. It's the second line from the bottom within the Public Works Highway Division. And as you can see, they have encumbered 448,000, which is skewing the percent used for the year. So it's showing that that line is 94% spent, and obviously we haven't paid it, but we do anticipate liquidating that full amount because of the Continental schedule. It's already been, either payment's been laid or will be laid this year.
How quickly do they send bills after? Because we're using third parties to do a lot of that work.
For the liquid asphalt, yes. I know that that's something we've asked for them to get to us more frequently. I haven't yet seen a bill for liquid asphalt that's been poured. I've only seen the ones that have come in for the cold patch that we've picked up at the facility. I'm not sure if Adam has a better timeline for that, but I know we asked that they bill more frequently.
You know what's
We
coming
had
out.
asked that they be billed, try to get monthly.
Right.
And of course, we just started, so I don't know how soon you would see a bill.
Sure, I just didn't want to presume anybody needed to hear my voice again here. But, with the asphalt paving, we do have variable pricing based on the cost of the liquid portion of the asphalt. But right now, we have just this week received the first bill for that first piece of work that I mentioned in my memo, the comments under the resurfacing. So Montalona and then the 2024 closeouts, 3 of those. So you should see that in AP this coming Thursday, well, whenever you see AP, I guess it would be the following Monday. But up until the point when this budget report was created, we hadn't received any.
How much is that for, Adam, that we're expecting already?
Let's see, I think it was 284 and 180 something, so it's gonna be around 440.
I'd rather you not guess. We'll just
Yeah,
wait and see what
that
happens.
So you're
ballpark,
already about
so-
2/3 gone out of that.
From that particular line, yes, yeah. So, and then I think as Danielle noted, the percentage used for me includes any encumbrances, so the 61% isn't quite,
Are we issuing
have-
any
we
more
have
purchase orders after that for this?
Not unless you tell me we're changing the road plan list, and then we would increase. The only other time we would need to generate POs is if we have let's say we had a pipe order or something that triggers the purchasing policy PO requirements, then we would generate them, but.
Danielle, have we done the transfers for fuel for the departments?
So the transfers for fuels come in, we've done them
They're showing a
through.
negative $11,000.
Right, we still have more to post. We wait for the numbers to come from the garage where they get the tickets for which vehicles and which departments, and then we allocate those out. So that's a continual process. And as of today, I believe we had some of them back, so some of them are getting posted this week.
So as you see, it's a negative 11,000, that everything gets charged to DPW for fuel, and then the departments get billed from there to, the police department has to pay their share, fire department, Parks and Rec, whatever.
Yeah, and it goes back into that line.
So sometime in January, when the final recharge is done, that line will reflect only what Public Works Highway has used for fuel. But until that point, it's always a chase game of, okay,
Well, I mean,
we've
that-
been billed for deliveries, and we've been replenished by the departments for certain amounts, but it's always a
There's still something
lagging.
in the tank.
Yep, right.
Well, that distorts that number, your 61% spent.
It does.
That's also distorted by a negative $11,000.
Yeah, I think across all the departments, that percent used is the most distorted in the DPW divisions because of the timing and the operations where we have more encumbrances like blanket POs that we'll set up for the year for the entirety of, say, tipping or something like that. Whereas the other departments tend to have POs only when they're making like a one-off purchase. So it doesn't impact their percentage as much.
The one thing, if you've got me up here, and I'll fill your ears with something else, the one thing that we want to keep our eye on is recycling. So the single stream monthly rate varies, so you probably remember we're locked in with our tipping fees on a long-term contract, but the single stream recycling rate changes month to month based on the commodity pricing for all those individual components. We are right now quite a bit higher than we were a year ago this time, and it's been trending up the last couple months. Nothing extremely sharp, but we're over the dollar amount per ton that I had budgeted for the year. So we started off the year a little under, but now we're over. So your guess is as good as mine, what the next few months bring, but we get to September, October, we're gonna need to look at that as far as,
What line is that in here?
It's on page 15. It's under the 32, 30 with 4 zeros. It's 45930. It's about halfway down the list and it's currently showing at 89.9% expended.
and that one's tricky with the budget committee because they don't wanna see us estimating a bad swing in rates and saying, well, the highest we paid last year was $60 a ton. Let's budget the entire year at 60. We try to kind of shoot for the middle, but it's a moving target.
Okay. I get the 11,000 comment earlier, Peter, but that's like less than 1% of what was in that line item. So what other things are really gonna impact transference or actually like lowering the value in this, in your budget?
Guess I'm not sure what you mean.
The fuel cost. The 11,000 really isn't a huge impact to the overall budget here, so like it's less than 1%. So I'm asking what other things would transfer or actually skewing the numbers from what Peter was saying a second ago?
In just that line,
Yeah.
so truly
You
it's.
mean the total DPW?
Yeah, total DPW.
You're talking about the 61.2 with, even with the 448,000 that was encumbered.
Well, I was hearing transference of fuel to other departments, like they're in negative 11,000. Like that 11,000 isn't necessarily impacting that 60%.
But you're asking what's impact of the 61?
That's one of the items.
Is
Yeah.
that what you're?
Yeah, like what really is gonna make a difference? And like we need to keep an eye on.
So other than the.
The one that you just mentioned.
You know, I called that in
Yeah.
the notes. We've got, our overtime and our salt are always concerns, right? Because it's primarily spent in the first 4 months of the year, but if you have a winter that starts October 31st with a crazy 4-day snowstorm, overtime can be, blown out of the water. Salt use in November, December, if you have a tough beginning of a winter. So, I can't tell you now what's gonna happen, but that's something that we always keep an eye on as we go into the end of the year. That recycling line is the one, I think, because of the unknown nature of the rate, we'll have to keep an eye on. I don't have any, and Danielle, correct me if I'm wrong, with fuel pricing, are we currently locked through October 1?
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a major change,
The fuels are actually looking good. So we met with the consultant that the board had awarded the bid to, and we are still awaiting their bid results on the individual liquid fuels, but based on what they're seeing submitted for other communities that they're working with, it actually looks like we may be slightly below what our current contract is. So
Perfect.
that should be a good number for us this year.
What's this one that's tipping here? It's like 200 and...
so that's our trash, so municipal solid waste, MSW is the acronym you sometimes see, but that's anything that can't be recycled, non-metal, non-construction and demo, what other
What goes in your
categories?
green barrel?
No, exactly, so anything green barrel or anything that's brought to our facility by contractors, for example, or homeowners, and that's all landfilled, so that's, that budget is created with our historical averages for tonnage, and then taking into account our current contracted rate, which is locked in, and then when that shifts halfway through the year, the second.
That was the one where you caught where they were actually charging us more originally?
Oh, the first month, yeah.
Yeah.
The first bill we got was a little off, they hadn't gone the right percent up. So
But that
that's,
was
so
the
that's
PO.
pretty well known. The only thing there that would come into play is if we had some sort of a disaster level event, a flood type thing, and now all of a sudden we have an enormous amount of material that's coming into the facility that we didn't anticipate or is different from our normal intake. But that's a pretty steady tonnage.
Adam, how full is the salt shed?
Full.
It's full?
Full now,
Okay.
yeah.
Any other questions? Seeing none, let's move on. I'm gonna ask Adam to stay here. We're gonna talk about the St. A's project.
All right.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good, yeah.
Okay,
Can I just ask one more question?
go ahead.
Since you're the only one, well, there's two of you sitting here, department heads, Is that doing that exercise helpful to you, or is it just a pain in your necks?
I know what you almost said.
As I'm in front of my bosses and my boss is at home, we enjoy it. It's, you know, it's a good habit. I think, you know, there's never anything wrong with taking additional looks at things, and certainly having an additional set of eyes on stuff. You know, even if it's something that we've seen 10 years in a row, doesn't mean it's not going to be different this year.
You got input?
No, I do it on a regular basis, as I present to you, to the commissioners. I mean, I sit there and tell you, this is where we're going. We're gonna be over in these lines because of X, Y, Z. Bottom line will maintain, but I do it on a regular basis.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we appreciate the notes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Danielle, we're doing another one in another quarter?
Yes,
Perfect.
yeah, formally.
Now, let's talk about the St. A's project.
Can I stay here and listen to that one?
Oh, yeah.
You should,
Listen.
yeah.
So
This
just
is
before
pretty
we-
cool.
Go ahead, Danielle.
So just before we move on, just to make sure I give the proper feedback, is this format acceptable? Is the narrative where all the departments go in and write those
I think so.
highlights?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the narratives are helpful.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them explain the percentages, whether or not they think they're gonna be overall, like collectively, because I assume that these guys are looking at it and saying, we may end up being over in this area, like, we're gonna have to take certain steps to pull it back in.
So we could maybe develop like a narrative outline too that highlights a couple of things where they would fill in their percentage and pick
But
out.
some of it's gonna be the same every
Yeah,
month.
some of it maybe, okay.
You're gonna have the 90%, that's already, it's gonna be there every month, okay?
Yeah, I don't need to see every little line item, but I mean, like,
Okay.
where they are in their overall budget, like, here's the percentage, you know, we're probably gonna be over next quarter, you know, just, they probably know big ticket items that are coming too, right? You guys, like, know big ticket items are coming, like tennis courts, those sort of things are gonna impact, that you're gonna have to spend.
In this year's budget,
Yeah,
lipstick on a pig.
there you go.
Okay, let's get back to the St. A's deal, because Josh, you brought it up for the planning board meeting, and I've been following up on it a little bit, and I do have some concerns. Some of the, I don't understand, I guess I need to understand more about what they're doing with Rundwood Road, and they're closing it, and they're not gonna let people use it, or, I don't understand.
So, can I speak to that?
I want, yeah.
Okay. So, based on the questions that came up in the planning board meeting, I did reach out to the town of Bedford. I spoke with Becky Hubert, the planning director over there. She's very detail-oriented, and she went through the plan with me and explained what was happening. On Runlet Hill Road, actually, if you look in your packet, the fold-out sheets that you have, Runlet Hill Road continues and technically goes straight through the campus all the way to St. Anselm Drive.
Right.
And the majority of it is paved from both sides. They do have fields up here, and the paved area continues all the way really to just before the Goffstown line, because they have the other sports fields and parking up around the back of the Sullivan Center now. But then once you get past that area, it turns to a dirt road, dirt and gravel, and there are gates there at the facility. And I printed a few of these just in case this may be helpful if you guys wanna.
There's a gate on each end of the road.
Yeah,
Yes.
so, well, there's two gates. I talk with my hands, so I need visuals, but here you go. So,
I'm familiar with them.
there are two gates. The one on the left is actually a private driveway, and they put that gate there because they were having a lot of people that would come all the way down, thinking they're getting onto the campus, try and turn around. So that gate is on a private residence. The gate that you see straight ahead is the St. Anselm gate. And currently, part of the issue is Bedford has it paved to the point of that gate. That's their Class 5 road. And then beyond that, it's a Class 6 where it's not maintained by the town, and it's essentially turns into a paper street at that point.
Who owns that?
St. Anselm owns
That's their
both,
that's their
yes,
property.
it's a paper street on their property,
Paper Street, so St. Anselm's owns the road.
that portion of it.
Do they actually
it's
on
a-
the road?
I think it's a class.
It's Class 6.
Because it's Class
for-
6 road on
For,
paper.
Well,
for
that doesn't-
part of it on paper. And on the map, what Bedford has proposed and the school has agreed with as part of this development is they're gonna push the gate back about 600 No, it's only 600 feet to the line, so it's not the full 600. It's a small portion of the area that's going to actually push back the gate. They're gonna put in one of those, they call it a hammerhead or a T. So it's gonna allow a turnaround for the town vehicles, the snow plows and the emergency vehicles. The gate will remain there, and then it's gonna be status quo for use of the gate. So St. Anselm can still open the gate and use it as they always have, as an exit for large events or whatever they choose to do now with the property. And the reason for that is it actually improves the situation. Right now, as it is, there's no good turnaround, so the town plows snow up onto it, and then you can't open the gate at all. So if there were an emergency, nobody can even get in that way. So it's talking both with Chief Murray and Chief Serino, they've said it's actually gonna greatly improve their access point from the Bedford side, as well as their mutual aid partners coming in from Bedford. And all of the emergency services from both Goffstown and Bedford were involved in the discussion of that portion, well, really of the whole plan, but especially emergency access throughout the project.
So my question is, where are the new fields? Bedford?
They are, yeah.
Okay, so where is somebody gets hurt on the fields, where's the response come from?
It
From our
typically
town.
comes from Goffstown because we
No,
already have
That's
details.
Bedford's property, I mean, I don't understand why,
That's what my problem was originally when I heard it, Peter, is that all the response is coming from our town.
yeah. So we're picking up the tab for the safety of it, and what
So-
are they doing for it?
So they schedule
Just collecting the
private.
taxes?
Well, no, they schedule private details for their sporting events. So we're collecting the revenue for the private detail and having people assigned there. If there were an emergency above and beyond the detail, like a true fire or something broke out, that would be mutual aid and both towns would be responding anyway.
But is there property tax on the new building?
Yes.
Okay, they're still getting money for that.
Mhm.
We're not getting money for that. And we're basically facilitating all of that interaction there.
For private details?
Private details, emergency response into that facility, because it's not even, like, they can have an event, and sure, they'll open up the gate, but they're gonna have practice there, they're probably gonna do marching bands, somebody's gonna get hurt. We're actually still covering all of that.
Mhm.
Not only that, like, the other problem I have is that all the construction vehicles are coming across St. Anselm's Drive, which is on our side, and all the way into that area to actually build those buildings. They're not opening those gates for any of the construction vehicles.
Adam? How do you feel about that? The question on that part, let me ask, if they were building it on the town, our property, town's property, we wouldn't care how much such construction traffic is, because they do it all the time anyway.
Right, I mean, but we would be facilitating revenue for the town of Goffstown to actually build that out. We're now facilitating revenue for Bedford.
Adam?
Well,
I don't want to get political, we're talking about the
Right.
physical.
it does come up from time to time with construction, and we've had it with our own construction crews. Sometimes the quickest way to get to a certain area, Chapel Hill Road in particular recently, was through Bedford. We try to be mindful when the closest route might include a neighborhood and not inundate with vehicles. In this case, it's sort of a heavier traveled road already, St. Anselm Drive in particular. Our stock response usually, if somebody in an adjacent town or a resident talks about that, is that they're public roads, and this is kind of part of the commerce, is part of the deal. There are things that you can do. There's things the planning board can do, one of which would be a surety of some kind for any damage, or excess traffic if they expect heavy loads, that kind of thing. I'm not sure where they are in the process, if that ship has sailed for any, for the planning board to take any action on holding a bond for that. The select board, unfortunately, because it's RSA 674, it's a planning board item. And where the street is already existing, there's not really a lot of levers that the select board can pull for that.
The planning board can't do much because it's not on Goffstown town property. It's in Bedford. is where they're building that.
Well, no, but he's talking about a surety bond for St. Anselm's Drive. For
Right.
damage on St. Anne's Drive, which is ours.
And
And the planning board's, you're saying planning board's the only one that can ask for that bond?
A planning board, I think,
planning board.
I think the Bedford Planning Board would have to require
The
that.
planning board in Bedford would have to do it, because again, it's their property line,
Yep.
Well,
their
Now,
town
it
property
did,
line.
the project did come to our planning board here, and they did not add any comment or condition on their approval of their portion of the project, but it may be because of the project's location. It's my understanding that the regional impact has gone out for each step of the process, and Bedford actually did a secondary regional impact on the zoning process as well, after the court appeal. So there was public comment taken into consideration, and they had said that their final conditions, obviously the list we have are their final approval conditions, but I know that Tim and Joanne did attend
They did,
the planning board meeting.
and the feedback they got was that they weren't going to allow any of the construction vehicles to go across that road.
right.
Because it's a neighborhood.
And then the follow-up thing that also came out of that is that all the water and sewer for this facility that sits in Bedford is gonna be hooked into ours.
Yeah, we're gonna pay for the water and sewer. Yeah, that was part of that as well.
Mark, you had something you wanted to add?
We should come up with a plan before time goes on and time starts this project. Videotape the road, videotape everything from point A to point B. That way there, we have it locked, and we know what is being done. So we don't end up with an argument between Bedford and Manchester, or Goffstown and whoever. I'm not in favor of this project for going through Goffstown. It's Bedford property, let Bedford fix it, let Bedford have it, let them suffer the consequences is my feeling. Sorry.
So if I understand the process now, if we wanted to do something, we'd have to file, you have to do it within 30 days. And where are we at in that?
Notice his decision was dated June 25th, so within 30 days would
We have to
be.
get it out now.
Now, we can do that, and then that gives us more time to do more research on it, and always pull back after we've done that. Would that be correct?
I've never seen one town appeal against another town, so I can't speak to the details of that. I would have to get some research just on that process and confirm. I do know that TF Moran, who's the project lead for St. Anselm, and their land use attorney are both very responsive, and so I could certainly reach out to them and
I don't
Ask
want to wait till the
questions.
last minute. If we need to file something, we file it.
Sooner than later.
Yeah, we file it, and then we get them to come in. We make sure we give ourselves time by doing it. You know, we get the input, I don't know how much research, or how much, I know you said they attended the meeting, but did any of us get any information on it when they went to the meeting? They came back to us and said, hey, look,
no, the first we heard about
I
it
gotta
was
ask the planning board.
Thursday.
Well, whose decision would we be appealing?
The town of Bedford's planning board decision to approve the project
And that-
with the conditions that they
We have
have.
go, as they appeal to court now, is there any reconsideration or something like that?
I think there just needs to be some
I think the
interaction with that
appeals-
board and say, a give and take, and they just made a decision and we got no input.
Well, they've made a decision to basically push everything to us. Tim went there to advocate for the fact that they shouldn't be doing that.
So, I believe the appeal, I would have to find out the exact details of the appeal process, but I believe the appeal goes to the Bedford Planning Board.
And is it
But I will find out
initiated
if
by
it
us
has-
or by our planning board?
It would have to be anybody can appeal it. I believe it would be within the select board's right to appeal it from the select board.
Tim was under the impression it needs to come from the select board.
Okay. Well, I just think, even if it just slows the process down, it gives us an opportunity to participate, which we weren't given. What do you think?
Well, they must have had hearings and things.
They did.
And we were notified as a
Yes.
butter?
The planning board and the planning department were in receipt of all the notifications as in a butter on behalf of the town.
And did it get passed to the selectmen or select board?
Not that I'm aware of.
I think when they, when Bedford's planning board took a vote that it did have regional impact, that then generates an additional, so you receive a butter notification, but also the planning board specifically was required to do a regional impact hearing, I forget what to call it, but.
We need a motion
to
for a
discuss
letter?
that.
I don't know, I don't know if it's a letter or it's,
Do we need to make a motion for a notification?
Motion to appeal, yes, I would need
Yeah.
the select boards.
I'm gonna make that motion.
Second.
motion by Mark, seconded by Richard. Any discussion, further
Well,
discussion?
yeah,
All we're trying to do, I think, is slow the process
I
down.
understand,
so we get
but
it-
the
I think
appeal
we'll-
requirements may require some specificity. I don't know that. Like, what are we appealing? What specifically are we appealing? And that, can you check on that? And I don't know how we respond to that, if that's what we need to do.
Well,
If it's just we appeal now, that's fine, but if we need to tell them why we're not happy.
I believe you do have to tell them why, and I think the discussion you had this evening about specifically the access through their main gates, not coming through on the Hill Road is the biggest point that I picked up on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tim seems to be under, because he seems to think other towns have done this, is that we would be able to monitor the road, or at least take pictures of before and after, and any damages that they, caused to our roads, we can
Well,
facilitate.
Is that between us and St. A's? Because it's not our project, the project's not in the town of Goffstown.
I think the normal, so in a non-project sense, if someone damages the roadway, we always, we being the town, the select board always reserves the right to get someone to repair that damage, right? It just matters how strongly you feel about that particular damage type and how far you want to fight that. So sometimes if we have a onloading, offloading damage to a roadway, we talk to the contractor and they come back and, do a small repair kind of thing. We could do something similar with St. Anselm Drive if you want an official amount held and that shall not be released until, then it would be a.
Yeah, I think St. Anselm's still a part of our community. I think that we should have that discussion with them in particular, that they're building something in Bedford, and if the roads get damaged, they need to pay for them.
I understand quite a bit of fill that needs to be brought in.
That I don't know.
Yes, it's a lot,
I presume,
Yeah.
usually.
Where are they gonna fill? Behind the house?
like all back in there, they basically have to like come in and
They're
grade
gonna
it.
fill where the swampland or wetland
The,
are.
yeah, the second fold out and third fold out really show the town line very clearly. So, the town line behind Grapponi Football Stadium, and you see the new field is down here in this corner, and this is the Bedford town line.
You can imagine, they're gonna do some demolition back there too, they're probably gonna be pulling stuff out as well.
Yeah.
So behind what used to be the Clark's Farm, right
Yep.
on the other side of the parking lot.
You're gonna check with legal about the appeal?
I will check with them before we submit anything, and I will speak with Bedford as well, but we'll be working on it this week based on the discussion.
Now, I don't wanna get stonewalled by Bedford, I don't, if they say, well, there's nothing we can do about it, well, I don't necessarily think that we should be taking the brunt of this whole thing.
I think Bedford's gonna stonewall us, in my opinion. I think that our right approach would be to try to appeal whether or not they open up that access, number one. I think the other thing is we should talk to St. Anselm's about any sort of damages that get incurred due to this, because they're still gonna build the stadium no matter what.
All right. So, we have a motion on the floor, right?
Yep,
Or was it?
I did it.
No, Jim and Richard seconded it, and then you had another question, so.
Yeah, he made the motion to do the appeal. I think that we should also
All right.
amend to that contacting St. Anselm's about any damages to the road.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to start with that one, Richard?
Yep, I agree with that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
That wasn't what I thought. That's a nice facility.
It is a nice facility.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, old business, do we have anything on the old business? Adam, you got everything working now, or the, half the fleet broken, or?
No, we're still down on that backhoe, which is starting to become a problem. It's not starting, it is a problem.
It is probably.
Zeb took to a face-to-face drop by at Chadwick Bay Ross Thursday last week because it's been back ordered allegedly, this radiator for this backhoe for months now, 2 months. And we're renting a machine at the transfer station, which we don't normally budget for, so. Didn't get a lot of great answers other than we'll get back in touch with you next week. So we may, even though it would extend the timeline in theory, we may try to outsource
Radiator or whatever.
aftermarket type thing. We did some look, for Volvo type, but if you go on their manufacturer sites, it is back ordered, but doesn't mean we need to sit here and twiddle our thumbs for the rest of the year waiting on it.
All right, great, thank you.
That's the big one.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right, anything else? Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none? Motion?
Motion to go into non-public.
RSA 91-A:3.
For A, compensation, that's it?
Seconded.
I'm glad somebody spoke up. Motion by Mark, seconded by Richard. Roll call.
Yes.
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 That'll conclude tonight's public portion of the meeting. Thank you for watching.